a lot of people think that they are good listeners, and I definitely did before I learned this. I was a weight loss coach, and so my job was listening to the clients and to help them have great coaching sessions and have motivation. But actually, I was listening to my thoughts rather than to them. And I think it's so invisible how often that happens. So we're going to be talking about listening beyond your own thoughts. And we're going to be doing some practicing too, so it'll be a lot of fun. Deep listening. Sometimes I'll call it soulful listening too. It's very powerful. It is one of the best gifts that you can ever give somebody that you care about, or that you don't care about as much too. I mean, give this. It's nourishing. It is heartfelt. It is soulful. It is beautiful. And it's enjoyable. It's so much fun to listen in this way. So everybody just needs a good listening to. I think that we've found that when we talk with somebody who's a really good listener, we tend to feel better afterwards. Yeah. We feel heard. We feel understood. And that is the secret to deep listening, is hearing for understanding. But some things get in the way. So there's a lot of ways that we're not listening and that we've learned how to listen that are actually counterproductive. And so this one is very counterproductive. It's distracted listening. And it's being distracted by external things. Could be your cell phone. Could be a movie. Could be a project. If you go up to a significant other or a child and you tell them something while they're on their phones or while they're doing anything, really, they're not going to hear you. They'll be like, okay, yeah. And then you'll be like, well, did you take out the trash? What trash? But and that one's kind of obvious, so I don't spend as much time on that one because we can learn to put our phones aside. That one's kind of an easy fix. The internal distracted listening is a lot more insidious, and it's a lot more invisible and easy to do. We go on like rabbit trails, and we're like, if something that they say sparks something in us, we're like, ooh, that's fun, and we'll spend the next 30 seconds off in La La Land not listening. Or we're listening to our own judgments about what they're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Or we're listening if we agree with them or not. That's not right. And that shuts down listening. It's like if you have a song that comes on in the radio and you're like, "Ooh, this is a great song." And you don't hear a single part of it because you're off in your head thinking about work. And so it's so strange that something that is silent, mental noise, is louder than something that is not silent, the music. But it's very easy to do. It happens a lot. So that's distracted listening. Let's talk about evaluating next. And that one is one that we can kind of get into pretty easily, or we're trying to solve. We're trying to figure things out. We're trying to diagnose, fix. It's a bit of a cliche, but husbands are really like notoriously bad about this. They're and I fall into it too. I sometimes have to pause and ask, do you just want to be listened to, or do you want solutions for this? Because it's so easy to jump into. Our brains are this like Rubik's Cube problem-solving machine, and we're like, ooh, fun problem. I'm going to mess with that. And then, oh, I found the solution. I need to tell you right now. And you probably miss the problem completely with your excitement in finding the solution. And if you truly understand the problem, the solution is easy. But most of the time, we're not giving enough depth. We're not listening enough, deep enough, or for long enough to what the problem actually is. And it's leaving a lot on the table. It's kind of a shame. Paying attention.
It may not be a problem at all.
Oh. It's true. Yeah, a lot of times, and we'll talk about that. A lot of times problems are made of thought. They're just coming from our perspective, and we're looking at it from a lower place, a lower perspective, a lower mood, and it seems like a really big deal. And then when we settle down, when we relax, take a nap, have a meal, or time passes, and we feel better about it. And it's not actually a problem, is it? I found that so many times. The other thing, too, I want to share this one. So I have a story about sometimes when my wife gets frustrated with me, it's so valuable to keep listening instead of just jump into my own defense. Because she would say things like, oh, for me it's like you're always like prioritizing work. And if I just kept listening and I wasn't like, well, I took care of our daughter this day and I did this, and I'm not trying to figure out, I'm not trying to evaluate what she's saying and figure out the response and how I am innocent of this. And if I just kept listening, that would typically dissipate, and then she would be like, and this is happening. And this is a struggle at work. And this person is upsetting me. And I'm stressed out about my mom. And there are 5 other things that are underneath the surface of what she's saying. But it's kind of like an iceberg. If I only respond to the tip of the iceberg of you're not prioritizing work, and I come in and we could have a whole argument about that, and that can spiral out. But if I'm patient, wow, I'm missing out again, aren't I? On the depth, on what's underneath the surface, what's beyond what she's saying. Because most of the time that thing that's the frustration is not really the thing. Sometimes it is. Sometimes I messed up and I have to own it. Paying attention. Pay attention. How many times have I probably said that in school? Oh, man. Paying attention is a different kind of listening than the high impact, low effort listening, because you're listening for information. You're listening to be able to regurgitate, to be able to pass a test. You're listening for importance and keywords, and it's great for school. And it's good for kids to learn. It's not really, it doesn't necessarily lead to understanding. Because kids can just kind of parrot what they hear. When we talk about mind, consciousness, and thought, Sydney Banks would say, I could, it's not just the words. It's not just the ideas. It's not just parroting him back to me. Like, I can teach a parrot to say mind, consciousness, and thought, but it doesn't mean that they have an understanding of it. So when we're paying attention to somebody, it doesn't mean we're actually hearing them. We're hearing the content of what they're saying, and we can repeat back, oh, I heard you say this, this, and this, and I heard you say that you're upset about how things are going for you with your parents. But there's not a depth of understanding. Does that make sense? There's not a empathetic response. Seeing what's underneath the surface of that, what they might be feeling or what they might be not saying. It's just as powerful as what they're saying.
Can I just say something though?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's really fascinating how even at the beginning of me bringing up the paying attention thing, like I was like still kind of processing one of my last thoughts, and then as you were rolling into all of that, I was just catching like the main information points and being like, oh yeah, piece this all together to try to catch all of it, and I could feel that like almost like you're trying to walk on water rather than sink into the pool type of feeling, and trying to like, I gotta get to the other side.
Yeah.
And like as I would just changed my thoughts, I would feel myself feeling what you're saying, and it reminded me of how I felt like that skittering across the puddle feeling of that information, of it not seeping in my entire schoolhood from like 8th grade forward. And it almost feels like a survival mechanism of just being like, how can I bat this back like a hot potato in a second if I need to show what I heard? And it feels like a survival thing, and I feel anxious as I'm listening, and I'm like checking in with my thoughts. Am I listening? And it's so cool how this is probably the number one thing that's helped me, and I'm like feeling it while you're talking, and it's just really cool because I forgot about it from the last time, and now it's just like further going deeper.
Yeah. Oh, this is the thing I love about this topic, because you can learn this 100 times, and you're gonna see more. You're gonna be like, oh, that's how I've been listening. Oh man. And I love your description of the skittering across the water, and like it's almost like you're trying to catch it, like you're a baseball player, and you're like, oh, I have to catch all of the words, and it doesn't let you absorb it, does it? Yeah.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Because I can't help but evaluate. I mean, I'm receiving the information and sitting with it. And my curiosity, though, is there a time when paying attention is all that's needed?
Sure.
Like, I ask you, well, how do I get to Old Town from here? Do I need to listen deeply to that? Or can I pay attention and write it down?
Yeah, that's...
I mean,
so,
is there a time and place?
Yeah. If you're looking for information and to get information to store on to your little computer hard drive, absolutely.
Okay.
That's great. If you're looking for connection and feeling, it's a terrible way to listen. but it's how most people listen.
To everything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that clarification.
Yeah, it depends on your goals. Like, if you need to evaluate something, if somebody is like, hey, I'd like your help solving this problem, oh yeah, use evaluating listening. Now, probably you would want to hold off and have some deep listening, but then have the evaluation part. Yeah.
That helps.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you're a movie critic, you probably are going to watch the movies to evaluate them.
Oh, that's a really good explanation of the difference. Like
Yeah.
evaluating from a critical standpoint of a movie versus just like soaking up the movie.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And can't you see how evaluating gets in the way of enjoying the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it gets in the way of enjoying the conversation too. Absolutely.
It's kind of how I feel about taking notes.
Yes. I stopped taking notes. And you know what? Take notes. I've got you the notebooks. They're awesome. And take notes. And absorb. If you hear something, you're like, oh, if I have insights, I'm going to write them down. Or if I hear something that is like, whoa, yeah, I'm going to write that down. Do I have to write every single word that I'm saying? Probably not. But write something down that's important. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like I fall behind, and then I get more into the paying attention and sticking to looking for keywords, and then I get lost and just notice that within the first little bit that I've been writing. It's like, wait, what? I'm totally absorbing this movie. It's tough.
Nice. That's a good pickup. And actually, what you just said is very powerful. Because the only thing that you need to do in order to listen deeper is just notice how you're listening. And that's it. If you notice that you're listening in that surface level, or you're listening to evaluate, or you're listening for information, that's halfway there to dropping it. And then you have to combine it with it being a good idea to listen at a deeper level. It has to seem like a good idea. And it is. It is a good idea. I'm not going to try and convince you of it, because I think you'll see it for yourself. Try anything that I say. Try it out. Don't take my word for it. And high impact, low effort listening. That is the type of listening that I'd like you to do today. And if you bring it into your life more, it will enrich your life. You'll be able to listen to your emotions, listen to your friends, listen to your significant others. Business will go better. You'll get more clients. You'll get more friends. And I love that it's low effort, because it goes in the opposite direction of where we think we need to go. We think we need to be like, okay, I'm really listening to you, Mac.
You're really freaking him out.
And that's kind of what it does. Like, I feel like when I was coaching before I found this out, that's what I was doing. I'm like, okay, I'm really listening to you. Yes, it's a play of like, I'm showing you I'm listening. But this is low effort. It's effortless. It's easeful. You're just kind of relaxing back rather than leaning forward. And one of the easiest ways to do it, because I guarantee you that you're going to have distracted listening or paying attention or any of these things come up. I guarantee your brain's going to be like, and you just have to make it less important than listening to them, than understanding them, than connecting. So you make connecting with them more important than anything that's going on in your head. And that actually means that it's okay if things go on in your head. They're just kind of background noise, like you get into an elevator and you're having a conversation with somebody, and it's just kind of do 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 do, and
That's the elevator.
yes, that's the elevator music. Yeah, and you're not bothered by it. You're
Yeah.
okay. Maybe you are.
I love Barry Manilow. I haven't heard this song in years.
And you're
sorry.
yeah. What? And actually, your brain will do that. It'll be like, this is Candy. I love Barry Manilow. I want to say this, and you just kind of relax that. You set it aside just momentarily, or you let it flow. I'm going to use lots of metaphors. It's more of a feeling. You get a feeling for it. But yeah, your brain is going to go after the candy. And you just say, okay, I see the candy. Thank you, brain. And you let it be there. You don't fight it or push it away, or that's just going to be like, oh, I have to keep all of my thoughts away so that I can listen. And you're not going to be a very good listener. Mavis has one phrase. She says, you listen for a golden thread of connection between the two of you. That's all you have to do. Mm-hmm.
Well, what does that mean?
Well, see, the thing is, it's already there. The golden thread of connection connects all of us. And we almost just kind of have to get out of the way of it. We're all 100% connected. We just think we aren't. It is hearing from a deeper place, from that place of connection, from that place of understanding, not the intellectual understanding of our ego mind, but of a soulful understanding, of a connection of humanity. And that's one of the powerful things too, is when we're like sympathizing, we are bringing up a time in our past that we felt the same emotion, and then we're bringing up that same emotion, and it kind of hurts. Mm-hmm. But when we're really hearing them, we are connecting with what is a shared humanity. Like, I know the feeling of struggling and being lost. And you're not thinking of a time in your past where you were struggling and lost, because that's not helpful. That's not a part of what they need heard. They want the shared, what's in common, not what's different, not what's special about them or special about me. That separates us. That's powerful. Oh. And it's beautiful. And instead of having like sympathy, oh, I feel bad for you because you felt that emotion, it's almost like a compassion that develops. That you feel compassion towards them. And that is so nourishing for them. They don't want your sympathy. I don't want your sympathy. They want your compassion. They want the feeling of love and connection and shared in common humanity.